This is the revolutionary hour.
I wanna leave a mark, and I wanna make it legendary, with an emphasis on legendary. Yeah, I know I'm one of a kind. Sometimes I wish I could be different, but I can't change my fingerprint. Change my fingerprint. Change my fingerprint. Change my fingerprint.
I cannot rap about no trap, cause I ain't sold no crack. But if you been here from the start, you know I know about that. Dysfunctional family, but wouldn't change it for nothing. I'm a scarred teddy bear with these stitches and buttons. Birth of brave creatures, I cannot sit up in these bleachers. I'd rather tell my story on these songs and these features. Look at your fingerprints, they are one of a kind. God has blessed you with the mind to direct the blind. And they ain't talking about the focal, so adjust your vocal. I know at times it seems the devil's got you in the chokehold. Just breathe. It's 18 and 21, I know we're talking about the fingers, but there's power in the tongue. I speak life and breathe life in the walking dead. I know some counted them out, but I hope they change their head. Matter of fact, change their heart, giving brand new stars. Make them legendary like David, they leaving their marks.
I wanna leave a mark, and I wanna make it legendary, with an emphasis on legendary. Yeah, I know I'm one of a kind. Sometimes I wish I could be different, but I can't change my fingerprint. Change my fingerprint. Change my fingerprint. Change my fingerprint.
Can't change that. Took some time, but I found who I was. Who I am is an artist without the deal of the buzz. Accept the gift and the curse, but I'm a blessing in this verse. Be a light up on the earth before my corpse is in the hearse. Know what I mean? Young people, you can be what you aspire to be. Doctor, lawyer, the head of an embassy. Ambassador for human rights, you can lead the fight. Just make sure that your strike is bigger than your human bite. Don't just be talking. Cause some talk without muscle. And some crime but don't hustle. They don't work hard at all. And they wonder why their stars don't change. You can't grow without the growing pains. I often wonder the pain of Nelson Mandela. Then I'm taken to the quotes of Helen Keller. It says, the only thing worse than being blind is having sight but no vision. So I say write it down, make it plain, and execute your vision.
Mark, and I wanna make it legendary, with an emphasis on legendary. Yeah, I know I'm one of a kind. Sometimes I wish I could be different, but I can't change my fingerprint. Change my fingerprint. Change my fingerprint. I can't change my fingerprint. Change my finger. I can't change my fingerprint. Change my fingerprint. I can't change my fingerprint.
This is the revolutionary hour. BOSS
BOSS Radio, Southside Bosses, its owners and associates take no responsibility for the opinions or statements made by the talk show host or their guests. Statements or show topics are not necessarily the beliefs of the site or the radio station, and opinions between talk show hosts may conflict. This site does not endorse anything as the truth. That you will have to judge for yourself. But we try to speak the truth on the owner's behalf and reserve the right to question the supposed truth. In this time of misinformation, government-controlled media, and government corruption, it is sometimes hard to get to the truth, but we must try. It is not our intention to libel, discriminate, make hate, or annoy anyone. We believe that it is our constitutional First Amendment right of free speech to voice our opinions and our duty to the Constitution and country to expose the truth. This site takes no responsibility for the opinions of others and the postings of comments in chat rooms or forum posts.
As Mr. Flavor, I am proud to bring to you Mr. E, the music maestro.
What it is, everybody, what it is, everybody, what it is. This is your boy, Mr. E Boss of the Southside Bosses, coming to you here live on BOSS Radio. I hope y'all enjoyed that good piece of music right there from your boy Trey Libra, putting it down as he always does, and never fails. That was Fingerprints, because one thing about you is that you can't change who you really are. You could always improve on who you are, but you can't change who you are. Matter of fact, you can't even change what a thing is, because once it is created for that purpose, that is the purpose that it will be for at all times. But this is Revolutionary Hour here on BOSS Radio, so I hope y'all ready to tune in, turn up, and zone out as we bring you some of the best of the what we got going on right now. In Revolutionary Hour, we bring y'all knowledge that you can apply to your everyday life. So thank you for tuning in, turning up, and zoning out. And today, all I ask y'all to do is to go ahead and like us, subscribe to us on your favorite streaming service as we bring y'all the best in all of this. Revolutionary Hour is on Spotify, iHeart, iTunes, Google Podcasts, Apple Podcasts, Tidal, Deezer, and more. So find us on your favorite streaming service, like us, follow us, and subscribe to us on YouTube at Southside Boss Connection. You can also find us on our website at sbcmovement.com. That's right. Tonight, I want to bring to y'all something very, very special because, you know, this is the holiday season. And with that being said, we actually need to be able to bring y'all some holiday knowledge. Yeah, heard me. So with that, I want to make sure that you understand that there has been so much. Oh, I'm sorry, I got this all in the way. I know y'all trying to see me. There you go. There you go. All right. But yes. There's so much that has been misconstrued, especially when it comes to religion. A lot of people think that religion is the way, but it's not the way, because if you actually break down religion, you'll see that most of these religions divert from their holy text. The holy text, on the other hand, is a great source of knowledge to help you get to the divine, if that is what you're willing. Now, tonight, I want to talk about the Bible. Because Christianity in its entirety has failed the Bible, if you actually break it down. And we're going to discuss why tonight. A lot of people say that the Bible likes to contradict itself. Well, if you actually look at the Old Testament, the so-called Old Testament, you'll find that the contradictions actually, if you knew history, knew geology, knew geography, knew meteorology, knew all these different sciences and the different ologies, then you will understand that there was a different type of world at that time. So some of these things that don't make sense to you now made sense then. But what about this New Testament? See, this New Testament does have some contradictions that are thrown out there that actually do make you wonder what's the authenticity of the Bible. But I don't want you to take fear in that because proper knowledge, proper understanding will bring you the wisdom that you need to be able to discern the Bible in its entirety. Now, what am I talking about? Well, the main part that I want to actually discuss is because a lot of people have this notion that you no longer have to follow the old law. That's why they call it the Old Testament. Before we go any further about what the subject matter is tonight, I want to break down one thing real quick. There is no such thing as the old law. Yahweh, or the God of the Old Testament, the God of Moses, Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, he has never changed. He says he has never changed. He says he will never change. Matter of fact, he said his word will go out and it will come back with the fact that will not waver from that. So that means if the law is done with, then that means one thing, that the law is not standing till the end of time. It's not. So if the law is not standing to the end of time, that would make Yahweh a liar. And one thing Yahweh does not do is lie. So why do people think that Yahweh is lying about his law will not stand until there is a new earth? Well, mainly because there is a person who wrote predominantly most of the books in the New Testament And again, the New Testament and the Old Testament are titles that was given to them, but the proper way that you need to look at that book so that you understand that it is entirely to be taken into control, taken into concept is, it was written with Yahweh giving Moses the law. And he also with that law said that if you don't abide by this law, this will happen to you. Well, I guess it didn't stick because he had to send prophet after prophet after prophet in order to tell you, look, come back to the law, come back to the law, or you will be punished. Judgment Day got here, and he had to pull a witness. So he sent his only son, he sent his son down here to live as a human and a human only, to show us what the law can do for us. So that was his witness. So you have the law, you have the prophets, and you have the witness. That is the proper way to look at this Bible and the proper way to study it, because once you study it that way, you understand that the law never was depleted. It was always here, and it always will be here. So why do we think that the law is gone? Well, according to one of the apostles, Paul, the law has been done away with, and all we have now is the law of saving grace. That sounds good, but let's break that down a little bit more. Because if you actually look at it, the conflict of interest that we have here is that you have the other apostles saying one thing, and then Paul backdooring him saying another thing. So tonight, we're going to discuss James versus Paul. Now, after reading the book, James, the brother of Jesus, the key to unlocking the secrets of early Christianity and the Dead Sea Scrolls, written by Robert Eisenman in 1997, he says that they sought to establish an identity for the church that was independent of its roots by creating a conflict between the church and the Jewish and anything Jewish. Why would they want to separate the church from anything Jewish? Why would they want to take from the main character in the Bible, who was a so-called Jewish, a Hebrew, a Ibri? Why would they want to take that away from him to make him something completely different? They wanted to get away from the roots of the whole ministry of Jesus or Yahshua. So what they did was they had to make you feel like the law had been abandoned by Yahweh, because they needed to be able to prove that what they were going to do was by holy divine scripture, such as the Christian Crusades, such as the Spanish Inquisition, such as slavery, chattel slavery. They had to get you away from the law in order so that they could be able to perpetrate these crimes on humanity without any impunity. So, you send an agent into their midst. And by studying Paul, you'll find the same thing. You'll probably come to the same result that Eisenman came to, like Tabor and so many other academic peers. They believe there was a fundamental difference between James' teachings and those of Paul, leading to a power struggle between the two apostles, and at the subsequent marginalization of James. He was no longer listened to. Nobody wanted to listen to James because James had actually held you accountable to the law that Yahweh sent to Moses to give to us. Now you're no longer accountable for them because you have Paul. But wait a minute. Who exactly is Paul? We don't even know who Paul is. We know of the name Paul. We know that he's an apostle. But let's break that down a little bit, because Paul, actually, his first name was actually Saul. And he was a Roman soldier who led the persecution of the early Hebrews that were Christians. Well after Jesus' ascension, he then claimed to have seen Jesus in a place on a road to Damascus. And there's no witnesses to his encounter with Jesus. But we know by God's law, if you check the law of Deuteronomy 14:15 and corroborated by Acts chapter 1, 7 through 8, we need witnesses. You need one witness to say something has happened, and then you need two witnesses to confirm that that thing has happened. So why do we not? Well, you got to think about it. His whole ministry was based on just having faith. So that's very convenient for somebody who teaches that you must have blind faith in his story in order to be able to believe anything else that he says. Oh, don't worry about the law. You don't have to live by the law no more, so I don't need witnesses. Okay, so if we don't need the law anymore, he don't need any witnesses, we're going to make him apostle. There's only one thing wrong with that. He's not the 12th apostle, because if you read Acts chapter 2, since Judas Iscariot snitched or turned Jesus in for a few pieces of silver and then decided to kill himself, you had to replace him. So they all cast lots. And if you know what casting lots is, if you understand the Hebrew culture, you'll know that casting lots pretty much mean pulling straws or something like that. It was a voting system that they had in order to find out who was going to replace Judas Iscariot. And it turned out it was Matthias. You can read that in Acts chapter 2. So Matthias being the 12th apostle, Matthias replacing Judas Iscariot, there's no need for another apostle because there's all your 12 apostles. Because we also know that in Hebrew culture, 13 is designated for evil. This is why there are 613 laws, because man is inherently evil. We'll get into why those laws exist in another episode. But y'all, that's why you definitely need to subscribe to the channel now, so you can get this real knowledge that these leaders have been holding out on you. Now, who is James? Easily put, James was Jesus' brother. And he was the leader of the early Christian Jews in Jerusalem. And he was a man that not only was raised with Jesus, he was taught right along with Jesus, listened to Jesus' ministry all of his life, and walked with Jesus. So this man knows his brother Jesus, as he has said on plenty of occasions in letters that never made it to the Bible. This is why you need to read the Dead Sea Scrolls. Now, if you're going to have someone who walked with the man tell you something, and then you have somebody who never walked with that man tell you something else, what's that? That would actually cause it shouldn't cause that much confusion, because I'm definitely going to listen to the man who actually walked with the man instead of listening to somebody who is may be coming up with a story that never happened, that I just have to have blind faith in, that not even Yahweh, the Most High God, even told me to do. He told me to question them and then find witnesses to corroborate their story. Where's his witnesses? There's no witnesses. He was just blind, and now he can see again. Oh my. Why would Paul go through all that though? Well, easily put, if you read Isaac, man, he goes on to say that in the Protestant world today, perception of James is heavily influenced by the thinking of Martin Luther, not Martin Luther King, but Martin Luther, who was a European who actually led one of the Protestant movements that actually separated from the Catholic Church. But he saw James' New Testament letter as an epistle of straw, not worthy to be considered part of Scripture. James' reference to the royal law clearly did not mesh with what Martin Luther saw as Paul's outright condemnation of the law in his letter to the Galatians, and thus his reduction of the Old Testament to second-class status with the emerging Protestant world. This means that even the Catholic Church wanted you to be adherent to the law. But they allowed Paul's books to come into the Bible so that it can deter you away from the law, so it can prove them that whatever they do is holy and divine, as above, so below. This is what they wanted to get through to you. This is why they have put this facade on, and they have made you believe that the law no longer exists. Now, if you go back to the Council of Nicaea, which happened in the first 100 years of this new common era, about 170 to about probably 230 years after Yahshua has already left this earth and has ascended to be at the right side of Yahweh, the Most High God, the God of Moses, Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, might I add. Origen, who is one of the scholars who was asked to be on the Council of Nicaea, during the Council of Nicaea made compelling allusion to the trumpets of Jericho, stating that the book should be organized with Paul's letters in the end because it was likened to the trumpet that brought down the walls of Jericho. Now, that's a very good allusion, very good metaphor, because he actually is the trumpet that brought down the law. He is the only apostle that says you don't have to follow the law. He is the only apostle. Why? So with his books being predominantly 14 books out of 66 books being predominantly in the Bible, then your teachings for the new structure of the church will come out of those books. This is why it looks like it does now. And this is why the church isn't biblical, because it isn't set up the way the Yahweh wanted it to be set up, the way Yahshua wanted it to be set up. The first Pope Peter did not even set it up this way. Matter of fact, the book of Romans was placed conveniently after Acts in the Muratorian canon around 170 CE. Now, this was in order to throw artificial focus on Rome as being biblical important, and it's not. There is nothing that actually happens in Rome except for the fact that the order is given to Herod or Pilate from Rome. That's it. That's the only significance it has in the Bible, the order to kill Yahshua. Now, this artificial connection between Acts and Romans, it created to enhance the supremacy of Rome, but now we see that that is a clear facade. It is exposed for what it really is. It is a way for Rome to take over the papacy from Peter and his bloodline. Peter, who was, and bloodline continues to be, of the Levite tribe. Now, in Galatians chapter 2, verse 1 through 14, Paul calls himself rebuking Peter at Antioch and accusing Peter and James of being hypocrites. Now, who is Paul to say that the ones who actually walked with Yahshua HaMashiach, Yahshua ben Yosef, Jesus Christ, who is to say that these two are hypocrites? Who are you? We know you're not a hypocrite because you're still persecuting the original Christian Jews. You're still doing that. You're just doing it in a political way now. You're doing it in a religious way now instead of through a military way. So you're not a hypocrite. They're not a hypocrite. You're two opposites. This is why you contradict the other 12 apostles, Paul. Now, I just find it real funny that there is no record of James and Peter even acknowledging this accusation, let alone Paul himself. They don't even acknowledge Paul. Why? I have no idea why they don't acknowledge Paul. I do know one thing, that the letter of James wasn't even written by James. If you go back and you actually read the letter, you'll see that it had the viewpoint of a Christian Jew after James' death and during the destruction of Jerusalem that happened in 70 CE. Now, Paul is still alive. We know that Paul is still alive because his point of view is from scattered Jewish followers of Jesus in the diaspora and not in Jerusalem, nor does it mention Paul by name. Instead, it challenges the policies that his teachings presented. Most seriously, in his law-free gospel that emphasized faith in a way that seems to ignore works, hearing and believing without doing. You can read this in James chapter 1, verse 22 through 25, and James chapter 2, verse 14 through 16. So with that being said, this man, Paul, has duped the whole world. And in the name of the Roman Catholics. This is why the Romans now have the papacy. Why you think you haven't seen an actual Hebrew pope? When the pope lineage was given to a Hebrew, from a Hebrew. The world should know. But instead they don't. Instead, they choose to go along with the rules. I'm here to set the record straight. Don't fall for it. Now, I do want to bring attention to one battle that every so-called scholar will actually throw at you, and it's the fact that that Paul actually in Galatians, he makes reference to Abraham, saying that the verse that says in Genesis 15:6 that Abraham had faith in Yahweh, so that was counted to him as righteousness. Yeah, it was. And then they say that, because he believed in only that, you have to break it down. Because if we read all of 14, the chapter before that, you see that the work Abram had done in the name of the Most High God. Even further than that, in chapter 12, the first time the Most High even spoke to Abram, it was a command that Abram followed without question. Because he had faith, he created works. There is no New Testament law. Faith without works is dead, as James has said. If you do not abide by the law, how do you know you have faith? Because that was the whole thing with Yahshua or Jesus coming down here to show us that if you follow the law, you will have everlasting life. Don't believe me? Don't believe me. Just watch. So I hope that y'all got something out of it, because with that being said, it's so much that can be issued in the name of these books. And if you don't read it yourself, if you don't break it down yourself, you will always run into these contradictions, and then you won't understand exactly what's real and what's fake. I'll just say, take it straight from the horse's mouth. Go back and read the Old Testament. I guarantee you, you will hear Yahweh say so many times, I do not change. I would never change. My word would never change. My word will leave my mouth and it will come back with results. That's what he did when Yahshua came down here as the word. He left with results. Then Paul had to go off and do his little thing. Well, the world is now bowing down to the Paulinian Christianity. So, do not let anybody dupe you. Do your own studies, like James says. Study and show that self-approval. Because if you don't, I guarantee you, you will be lost in the sauce. This is Go Away by Tyree here on BOSS Radio. You heard?
Yeah. God flow.
This is the revolutionary hour.
I know where I'm from and I know where I'm going. Yo, my life gon' get her to God because I'm a Christian, man. Came from the poorhouses and all them pistols, man. Talking about that drama, they run down, they about to get you, man. Now God said he love us, guys. We gotta start living, man. No more calling family, watching them shots fly. God told us forgive, so I pray that we all right. Cousin took one in the chest. I'm glad daddy's still alive. Glad we got him. Couldn't imagine if he died, cause I'm about God. In my life, it had them bad parts and hood, the good would pass, while all the bad is what they ask for. Getting crazy now, looking up, I pray the pavement now. Mama told me, baby, move, don't live where I made you now. Remember where they pull up to play with them lasers now. Don't sleep, Ziggy, one day they about to lay it down. I ask God to give me a path in his guidance. I'm tired of people dying from the acts of violence.
When the guns go bang, God won't let us go away.
We got those 4-5 and them enemies, those coke rides and them killing sprees. My whole life this enemy changed when God got into me.
When the guns go bang, God won't let us go away.
We got those 4-5 and those enemies, those coke ride and them killing sprees. My whole life in sin of me changed when God got into me. Yo, my story start with a page when I was younger. Shootout
out and wonder why would we play with sound like thunder. I'm born in a family of hood that keeps saying they love you. They're acting like your brother, the same one of the Blazers, brother. I'm starting to pray to God. It's the reason that my plan made. Create a man and how I played. I thought I would land AIDS, playing the same game, getting money. Okay, this man paid, forgot about you. But now, look at this man leg. ALD, I couldn't walk. With you, I was taking off. Couldn't leave depression, but with you, you know my day was long. This is me on the track. God, I had to make a song. First it was all hustling. Now I relate to God. Now I give him Jesus time. My time can't take a charge in jail for the year, dear mama. I don't want to break no more. I want to take the time. And I want to thank the Lord. If it wasn't for you, I wouldn't be alive to pray no more.
When the guns go bang, God won't let us go away.
We got those 4-5 and them enemies, those coke rides and them killing sprees. My whole life this sending me changed when God got into me.
When the guns go bang, God won't let us go away.
We got those 4-5 and those enemies, those coke ride and them killing sprees. My whole life in sending me changed when God got into me.
BOSS Radio. BOSS Radio. BOSS Radio. BOSS Radio. BOSS